back or to Chit Chat Wednesday. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, welcome. My name is Dawn. I'm originally from Manchester, now I live in the Netherlands. And if you're an OG, a returning viewer, welcome back everybody. Chit Chat Wednesday is a relatively new feature segment I've added to the channel. I think we're now on maybe episode 4 or 5. Should have checked that really, shouldn't I? How unprofessional of me. Some of you are nodding saying, yeah, she's not a professional vlogger. No, I do my best. Anyway, if you're here because you're curious, you want to know a bit more about me, this is the video for you. In my previous episode of Chit Chat Wednesday, I asked if you'd like to play along for a Q&A, and I did a separate little video where you could post all your comments, or questions I should say, or comments, and I've gathered them all. Some people did reach out directly to me, and then there's also been a lot of questions that I've received time and time again, you know, over the years. So it was a good opportunity. So let's have one video with where we can satisfy your curiosity, shall we say. I hope you're settled down to do something like, I don't know, a project, crafting, or a monotonous job, or just, you know, I'm in the background, because I've got a feeling we might be in for a bit of a long waffle. I have got a cup of tea. I forget. Oh, this is Twinings Sleep. Was that such a good idea? Probably not. But I like the taste. Anyway, well, the taste is okay. The other one I had was ginger, and I was like, oh, that's a little bit. Ooh. So, what I've done, I've tried to. So I'm not going to address you personally because there was a repetition, as I said, and also I've turned the comments off and I don't know who asked me what. So all I can say is thank you, and yeah, hopefully I've just, what do you say, you know, killed two birds with one stone kind of thing. So hopefully, let's see. So I had questions about my family home life. That kind of does overlap a bit later. I've got questions about our jobs. I've got questions about England, the UK, where I'm from. Questions about the Netherlands, where I live now. And of course, crafting. That was quite a few questions about crafting. So should we get stuck in? Oh, also, if you're not already subscribed, please could you subscribe? That would be fantastic. I don't know what happened. I'm just going off on a tangent. I don't know what's happened, but I checked my other channel, which is the Woven Almanac, where I do a crafty podcast. I've been doing that every week for the last month. I'm sorry, when I switched the camera on, a load of banking and drilling just suddenly erupted. So I hope it's not too distracting for you. And I can see workmen on a scaffold. Actually, I can see 3 workmen on scaffolding across the road, but I've got my ring light on, so I'm probably lit up like a beacon. Anyway, I hope it's not distracting. What's the, you know, odds of that? Pretty high. Yeah, so on the Woven Almanac, in the last podcast I put out, which in real time I'm filming this was last Friday, my views had doubled. It was very strange, and nobody, well, maybe somebody gave me a shout out, but normally when you have a YouTube channel and you give another channel a shout out, normally you tag that channel and then they will see it. So if any of you watched, you know, other crafty podcasts, did somebody give the Woven Almanac a mention? Because it's most peculiar. I'm not complaining, I'm very happy, but yeah, that was a bit of a strange one. Right, we're in 4 minutes in, we're 4 minutes in, so let's dive in. So let's talk about my family / home life. This has come up a few times in other videos as well. So what nationality do the boys feel? So in case you're new here, I have two children, they're grown men. Joshua is 23 and William is 18. And I've asked them this many times, often triggered by being asked on the vlogs, and both of them say instantly they're British. That's the first thing they say, and they've got British passports, both of them. And if you are new, their father, Lawrence, my other half, he's South African. So it's always British first, South African second. Joshua says absolutely he's not Dutch, and William is a little bit on the fence. Sometimes he says, well, I'm a bit because I was born here, I live here, but yeah, I mean, we've just raised him to be, you know, British. Lawrence has never questioned it. Incidentally, in case you want to know, Lawrence does not have a South African passport. He what did he call it? Nationalised when he lived in Sweden. I have to stop doing this. He lived in Sweden for 8 or 9 years, I think, not with me. And whilst he lived there, he gave up his South African nationality and became Swedish. So that was also a deciding factor of why they have my nationality. So I hope that's answered that question. Talking about South Africa, somebody asked, do I speak South African? I'm assuming that means, do I speak Afrikaans? So in case you don't know, there are multiple official languages in South Africa. The predominant ones for Lawrence and his family was firstly English, closely followed by Afrikaans, because his mother's side of the family are dominantly English heritage and his dad Afrikaans. And do I speak or understand Afrikaans? The longer I've lived here, the more I understand Afrikaans, and I think most South Africans who move to the Netherlands tend to pick up Dutch pretty well. There's a few things that are quite confusing for South Africans, like for example, one of the things that Lawrence is completely confused about, and actually I am as well, is the word D. So you say d or de. So you say de this or het. It's two ways to say the, and there are rules around it. The confusing thing in South Africa is everything is de or d this, d that, d, you know, d tafel, d stoelen, d. Whereas here, some things are d and some things are het, and even Dutch people sometimes become confused with it. So the foreigners have no chance. There are rules. If you're Dutch, you probably know the rules. Feel free to educate us all. And then the other question, what language do we speak at home? Well, we speak only English. Many years ago, when the children were both small, we were advised by like a speech therapist through the school when they check, you know, the children's vocabulary and, you know, how far they are, etc. And we were advised, stick, unless you're completely fluent or bilingual, stick to your mother tongue. So that's what we've done. Occasionally, when the children were being naughty or misbehaving and we went to the UK, I would sometimes give them a telling off in Dutch, because I didn't want people realising what I was saying, just to sort of not draw attention to it. But I'd probably like through my gritted teeth, and then, oh my gosh, mum spoke Dutch, and then they'd behave themselves. And when they were small, sometimes when they had some kids over to play, it would probably not behaving very well. And then, you know, I would speak, you know, to the boys in English, knowing that the children couldn't understand what we were saying. By about 7, that stopped. So yeah, actually I do. When the children had playmates over, we did speak Dutch then, because yeah, you know, little ones, they couldn't understand. Will I get another cat? The answer is very highly likely, but not yet. Funny enough, my friend Alison is off to take her friend, who I know, on a trip soon, I think at the end of the month, to pick up a cat. I think it's from on the German border, and she was trying to convince me to also get their kittens because they're free and ready to go now. And she was showing me photos. I went out for dinner with her the other week, and she kept showing me photos the whole evening. I almost crumbled. But no, we're not going to get another cat yet. Jack, our dog, who's a Parsons Terrier, I think Jack's like 14 now, 13, 14. I should check actually. And he's got old very quickly. So it's better not to, we don't want to stress the old boy out. So yeah. And then some people ask, oh yeah, were the boys born here, and how did I cope? So yes, both of them were born here. Joshua was an emergency cesarean, which was quite traumatic. I think I was in labour for 2 days with him. Waters broke and everything. luckily what I did, I arranged with my mum that we went from the due date, and then I said, if you aim to come 1 or 2 weeks after the due date, for sure baby's here. So I had an emergency cesarean. I was in hospital for a week. I was fine. I haven't got anything, traumatic to say about it. The hospital was very good. And actually, I'll go off on a tangent in a sec. I'll come back to that. And then I think I came home. I'd only been back. I think I'd been back a week, less than a week. And then here in the Netherlands, with your health insurance, I'm not sure if it's for everybody, but with my health insurance, I had a home help. A little bit like a midwife, who can come, after baby care kind of thing. So I had that. So I had a few ladies in and out for a week. It was fantastic. Actually, no, that's a big fib. I didn't do that with Joshua. That's a lie. My mum had already come over. So my mum was over. Lawrence had paternity leave. And the only thing is, after 2 weeks, Joshua's 2 weeks, and then wham, it was over. Mum had gone home. Lawrence had gone back to work, was travelling. And then I was on my own with a new baby and a dog, and not so many friends at that point. So that was quite lonely, but it was fine. I didn't feel sad about it. I had a very nice, I can't say anything about it. No, it went well. And William was born here by planned cesarean, because they said it was likely that I would need one again. So that was all booked in, and my mum was booked to come over, I think a day or two after I got home from hospital. And mum come over the week after I got home from hospital, because I had the crowns, or the home helper ladies for William. Some of them were not so great. One lady was fantastic, and I begged her to stay with us, and she had another family, so she couldn't, but oh my gosh, she was amazing. And then somebody asked, do I class myself as an expat or an immigrant, and what do I feel is the difference? So, out of habit, I refer to myself as an expat, because that's what I was referred to from the day I landed here, an expat. And that's what most of the foreigners in my circle, or on the internet, in forums, in groups, they tend to class themselves as expat. But technically, I think I'm an immigrant, because I understand that an expat implies that it's somebody who will move back to where they've come from, and we've got no intentions of doing that. So I think technically Lawrence and I are immigrants, but I just out of habit refer to we say we're expats. It's just easy, people understand that more, I think, just because it's a more common reference, how we identify. Maybe you think different, I don't know. And then another question, what would be my dream holiday destination? One of them, I've been there before. I would love to go back to Egypt. However, I would love to do the pyramids, all the historical archaeological sites, because we didn't get to do that last time. Last time we went to Egypt, it was on a resort in, oh my gosh, I forget where we stayed now. We didn't go to we didn't go to Sharm. We didn't go to, what's the other one? Hurghada, is it? I don't know. We went to one a lot further away down the coast, which was still hardly developed. I think there's probably a few more hotels there now. Or was it Hurghada? I can't remember. Anyway, let me have a sip, not a slip. Yeah, I would like to do that. The other place I would like to go is Rome. I've never been to Rome. I would love to see Rome. I've been to the US. I've been to many African countries. Well, many. I've been to a lot. Compared to probably the average person, I think, average European. I've pretty well travelled around Europe. Asia, it's not really been on my bucket list. Lawrence has been to Hong Kong, loved it, absolutely loved it. One of our nephews lives in Taiwan, so technically we could go there. And one of my girlfriends lives in Singapore for many years. And we do have family and friends in Australia, and New Zealand. So we could, technically, it's a doable trip, but is it my dream trip? Probably not at this moment in my life. I think, anything history I love. So, yeah. Okay, jobs. So there are a few people curious about what we do. So Lawrence, sorry, I've got an itchy nose. Lawrence works in IT, very techie, very, very techie. He's not kind of sat on a help desk. He's sort of problem solving and crunching things on his keyboard and writing, keys, key codes and commands and whatever. I don't understand it. I think if you looked up what kind of profession he was in, he would be, what would he be? Like an application engineer or infrastructure engineer, something like that. But he's been in IT most of his career now. He started out in telecom, so he can pretty much turn his hand to anything. I work in marketing. I can't say one specific area work in marketing because I've done every kind of job in marketing you can imagine. And the job I have now, yes, I do have a job. Yes, I am currently employed. Some people seem to think I've quit my job. I've not. And the job I do now is very much a broad spectrum. So, if you followed me for a while, you'll know that I had a spell where I was traveling a lot to Africa. So then I was involved in events, digital marketing, copyright, PR, everything. So yeah, I still have a job. I just choose not to share it with you. So the next category, we're calling it England. How are we doing for time? Because I think the last one, the crafty one, might be a bit of a longer waffle. That's nice to drink. Good temperature. England. What do I miss most from home? First thing, obviously, is family. So on my mum's side, I don't have a massive family, like immediate family. So I have my mum and Estelle, and then I have, my uncle and 2 cousins and their spouses on my mum's side, and then, distant cousins who we are in contact, but it's not, if I'm there, if I'm there for a birthday or Christmas, I wouldn't necessarily go, out of my way. It would be more, I would see them more if there was like a big social gathering, or I hate to say it, a funeral. But I am in contact with them all via social media, like Facebook and stuff. And then on my dad's side, well, sadly my dad is no longer with us. He passed away in COVID. Some of you will probably remember that. He didn't pass away from COVID, but it was at the very beginning of COVID with lockdown, etc. So when I go to the UK, I always see my stepmom, and I always see my younger sister Jill, and occasionally I'll see some nieces and nephews depending on what's going on. And yeah, so that's what I miss the most, family. And then friends, that's a tricky one, because my like besties in terms of childhood friends, Michelle and Joanne. Michelle, you've met on the vlog loads of times. Joanne, I don't think you've ever met Joanne. So Joanne doesn't live in Manchester anymore, and as many of you know, Michelle lives in Malta now. So my like super close, I'm in contact with, on a weekly basis, chatting in, messages. They're no longer in Manchester, but I do miss I miss friends, like long-term friends who, I used to see, once every couple of months, we'd go out for a night or dinner and everything. So I miss that. And then I do miss, although not so much these days, food. I miss orange chocolate. It's not a thing over here. If I see it in the shops, I'll always buy some chocolate oranges. Oh, not the Terry's. I like them. Anything chocolate orange flavoured. And crumpets. And bacon. Yeah, I miss like an English breakfast. And sometimes you get up on a Sunday morning or Saturday morning, you think, oh, I could just, you're out, you just do with a fry up. You can't do that. And the other thing I miss, and I think most expats say that, is the pub culture just doesn't exist here. Going to your local. In fact, we haven't got a local pub in our vicinity. We've got a few in the village, but no local pubs where we live, in the east side of our village. But yeah, the local where you go in and half the people in there, and there's probably like uncle so and so and neighbour so and so, and I miss that. I do miss, you can just go to the pub, not even for a drink, and watch the footy or the bank holiday, that kind of stuff. So yeah. Oh, and then somebody asked, I forget who asked if it did make me laugh. I forgot plans to visit Jeanette. So if you don't know, Jeanette is a more newish bestie. I didn't grow up with Jeanette, but we've become friends. Gosh, I don't even know how long have Jeanette and I been friends now. About 5 or 6 years, is it? And we've become really, very, very close friends. I do class Jeanette as one of my best friends. So she's here on YouTube. She's called Crafty Clegs Creations. Bit of a craft addict like me, and many of you will know her, and obviously whoever else the comment knows her. So I haven't got any immediate plans to visit Jeanette on my radar just yet. However, Jeanette, she came here this May. We did speak about trying to make it like a regular retreat, that she comes here and we go out on our boat, we sail, and just, you know, and we craft. We just knit and crochet and craft. So it is like a little mini retreat. So we spoke about it, whether it comes off. My door is always open, she knows that. But yeah, no immediate plans. If I did, I would share them with you. Okay, so the Netherlands, Holland. So sorry, I had a message ping up on my phone. The Netherlands. This kind of does flick back to the family home life because I did mention about language, but I think I have been asked this a few times actually. How did I learn Dutch? Well, firstly, the correction is how proficient I am at Dutch, because what I've noticed is when family and friends come over to visit me and they hear me speaking Dutch, they think I'm fluent in Dutch. But my Dutch friends, and my children included, think my Dutch is diabolical. It's terrible. Can I be understood? Absolutely. So how did I learn Dutch? Well, when I very, very first moved over, the company are no longer with them. They brought me over my job and they paid for me to have private language lessons. And it started, and then I fell pregnant with Joshua, and then I had this pregnancy brain fog, and I didn't learn much. It was literally, so for example, she would say something every week like hoe gaat het? How does it go? How are you doing? Every week. And I in my brain I would hear what was it? Ik ben Dawn. I think I used to hear like I am Dawn. I used to hear it like hoe gaat, who, like who are you? And she was saying how are you? And my brain would say who are you? And for about a month, every time she knocked on my door, I would say ik ben Dawn. And this poor woman, she was actually part Irish. I could just see her losing the will to live every week. Actually, that's not true. We had loads of laughs. I think we just spent time drinking coffee and chit-chatting, and Lawrence was about, and yeah, actually I should have kept in touch with her. She was hilarious. Anyway, and then I had, then I had Joshua. There's 4 years between Josh and William, and then I kind of picked it up from the little ones. I got involved more with school. Josh's his friends would come over to play, or vice versa, go over there, and then I just gradually learnt to pick up like baby Dutch, like wat wil je eten? Like what do you want to eat? Really basic stuff. Wat wil je drinken? What do you want to drink? And it just kind of progressed from there. We'd read books like hond, poes, or cat. Kikker, schaap, like frog, sheep, colours like blauw, roze, groen, this kind of stuff. So it just gradually got more and more. Now, the downside is we didn't and still don't have any Dutch television on in the house. Lawrence has got Sky satellite, and we stream obviously the Netflix and all the other services, and as a result, both of the children rarely watch Dutch children's television. I used to put it on occasionally, but actually they both preferred, and even now they both preferred to watch English content. And then we go fast forward. So I had like the basic fundamentals, and Then when I was made redundant from the job that brought me over here, part of my redundancy package, I asked if they would pay for me to go to learn Dutch. And I think I've mentioned this before, I left that job in a really very amicable way. It was done, they centralised, I've already spoke about this, but they centralised the marketing team to Barcelona, asked me repeatedly if I would go, offered me every kind of incentive. And, we bought our house here. We had 2 children then. Lawrence was well settled with work, a dog and a cat. And I said, no, I just don't want to move. And I helped employ my my replacement. So it all ended lovely. And as a result, I got a fantastic package. I don't think I would ever get a package like that ever again. It was amazing. And one of the things I said, I want to do a Dutch language course. And I found one, and I was a little bit hesitant whether to ask for it, because there's a place, it's in an area called, please excuse me, this is the way it's spoken, it's pronounced, it's called Vught, which is Vucht or Vuu. I should have looked it up. And it was a language school. Originally, nuns and I think priests worked there, and they taught foreigners or help people learn Dutch. That school has now evolved. There's no Dutch. There's no nuns there. I think I saw a priest once, but I don't know if he was teaching. There's absolutely no nuns, because I asked everybody employed there, and they said no, the nuns have long gone. And they teach several languages now. They teach Dutch. I think they teach English and French and another couple, I forget. And incidentally, Queen Maxima, then at the time Princess Maxima, she went there to learn Dutch. So it's supposed to be the best Dutch language school in the Netherlands. So I asked for a 2-week course, and it was €7,000, and they agreed to it. I was shocked. I was being a bit cheeky, thinking, well, they might give me a week. It's 2 weeks, and you literally go there Monday to Friday. You sleep at a nearby hotel, and you're bussed in and out, and you have all your meals at the school. That was then. I don't know if it's changed now. And I think you would leave at like 9 p.m. and you were supposed to only speak in the language you were there to learn. And then at lunchtime, or the meal times, lunch and dinner, I think there was tables with flags, and they said you could go to a mother tongue table, but they said please try not to do it, if you have to do 10 minutes. And it was literally, the only way I can describe it in a nice way is it was like brainwashing. It was really it was very intense. Now, I should have done 2 weeks back to back. So gone for a week, come home for the weekend, and gone back. At the time, there was what do they call it, swine flu epidemic in the Netherlands, I think around Europe. And at the end of the last week, I caught it. So I was very sick, and then I missed it, and then I picked it up later. Actually, I'm still in touch with a couple of the people from either one of the groups. I can't remember now. So I came out from there, having been brainwashed for not 2 consecutive weeks, but anyway. And I said to all my friends, right, girls and boys, you have to speak Dutch to me now. That's it. It's it's no point learning and then not practicing. And they were all like, yeah, we're going to do it. And I remember I had a dinner not long after I'd come out of the school. And I said to all the girls, right, ladies, and they went, yes. And then literally 3 minutes in, the whole table had just switched to English. I just gave up at that point. But all my friends know, many of you will know, I do every year go on a girls' trip with my friends. There's 5 of us. So one of the ladies she's German, but her husband is Dutch, and she's fluent in Dutch. So, and she probably speaks like 90% Dutch while living here. So I technically would say there's like 4 Dutch ladies and me. And I understand everything. I'm always saying to the ladies, you can speak Dutch, it's okay, I don't mind. If you don't understand, I'm going to let you know. I understand most of it, but inevitably it will go back to English, for many, many hours in each day. Because the Dutch, one thing about the Dutch is they're very good at English. They like speaking English. And more importantly, they get it. So my experience, because like in Sweden, the Swedes speak very good English, very good, but there's things like connotation or like humour, like the Dutch just get it. You know, they get they get the crack, they get the laugh. You know, it's very different to British humour, but yeah, I was really surprised when I moved here. I've gone off on a tangent now. Nobody asked this, but I'm going to tell you that, you know, things like Benny Hill was really popular here. Fawlty Towers, you know, a lot of like the old English slapstick kind of shows were very prevalent here, and there is a fondness for the language. So yeah, speaking and writing level. So speaking's I'd probably say I'm like about 70 to 80%, totally depending on the context. For example, if somebody just randomly stopped me on the street and spoke about something that I was completely unfamiliar with, or I went to see a specialist at a hospital and, you know, it was something I was completely unfamiliar with, then I would grade myself as being very intermediate, because it's vocabulary that I wouldn't necessarily hear on a daily or regular basis. If I'm going to the supermarket, I would say conversational Dutch, or maybe a bit higher. With the neighbours, one neighbour on this side, I mean, if she gets a grip of me at the fence, we can be there over an hour and she doesn't speak any Dutch. We just get by. Written, not very well. I can write basic stuff, but I wouldn't feel comfortable with like writing an email or a letter. However, I would be very comfortable at translating my written English into Dutch with like Google Translate, and then correcting it, because I know Google Translate doesn't do it. It doesn't give you like the proper how an average person would speak or write. So I do know enough of, you know, reading and writing to be able to say, actually, that doesn't sound right. No, you wouldn't say it that way. So, but yeah, actually, if I had to do a job in written Dutch, no, I wouldn't be able to do it. A lot of my expat friends wouldn't be able to. So I think that's all the family, homey life kind of thing. So now I had quite a few questions about crafting. And again, I've kind of lumped them together, and some of them you might recognise. Oh, that was my question. Before I get croaky. I hope this camera's okay. I've got the blind half down and I've got my ring light on. So I hope so. I mean, if we've had technical difficulties, hopefully you've not been looking at me and you've been busy making something. I hope. Crafting. Interesting. I've never been asked this before. What's my favourite yarn weight? And when I read it, I was like, I don't know. What would be my favourite yarn weight? I suppose if you had to go in this closet here is only yarn, full, top to ceiling. And then half of that one here is yarn. And I've got yarn in other places around the house. I think if you opened it up, you would see that it's mainly no, actually, I would say it's half DK, double knit, and half fingering weight. I would say that. I've got a lot of sock weight, a lot, and not so much like oddballs of acrylic, because if you remember, oh my gosh, I'm digging deep now. It was probably on my old channel maybe. In February or March this year, I bought new furniture. I rearranged my whole craft room and I decluttered everything. So all those half ball, stray balls of Stylecraft or whatever, they all went to the charity, even full yarn. I think I had like 4 bin bags full. So I haven't really got a favourite. I think I like DK or Aran for the speed of what it works up in, but not for crochet. And then, yeah, if for sock knitting or shawls, or I've got some here. So this is, you can see this, I'm showing this on the podcast. This is the Glow Hair Frost Scarflet by Stephen West, also here in Amsterdam. This is a fingering weight held double with like a mohair, so you can see it's a bit floofy, a bit brushed. So yeah, it's a hard one, that. I don't know. What's your favourite weight? Do you have one? One thing I like for amigurumi, which is like crochet. Amigurumi is a toy made from yarn, but most crocheters use amigurumi for their toys. I think a lot of knitters, if they make a toy, they would refer to it as a knitted toy. I'm not talking for everybody, but the majority. So when I refer to amigurumi, I always mean crochet. I like to make my amigurumi. I've got a couple here I can show you. Shut to my shelf. So I like to make my amigurumi in cotton. So this is the kind of thing I mean. Isn't that cute? I don't know who made that, who this pattern's from. It's a little soldier. He's got a round disc in him, so he does stand, but he's been stuffed in a shelf. And this, I think this is from like a star sign book, and this is Libra, which is my star sign. So these are all made from cotton, and that's my preferred, but it's a bit heavy on my wrist. I very rarely make amigurumi with wool or acrylic. This, I don't even think I've ever knitted a toy. I've knitted shapes like stuffed hearts and stars and stuff, but I've never actually made a toy. So this is not my work. Please excuse this. I should tag her in it actually. If she sees it, she'll laugh. This is a little cotton rabbit. So this is knitted, and it's got, if you see a little dress, it's got bees on it. How gorgeous is that? And made with love, is gorgeous. For this, I've got every pattern for the little cotton animal range, every single one of them. I've never knitted one. I don't know why. I adore them. I mean, look at that. She's even got a little tail. This was actually made for me, hence the bees, by my lovely friend Elise. A lot of you will probably know it. She's become quite a social media juggernaut now. I'm so proud of her. She's Elise Rose Crochet here on YouTube, and she's all over social media. She's got every channel you can think of. She's fabulous. So Elise knitted this for me, and I treasure it. But you can see the difference. This is made with, I think she liked, at that time she was knitting a lot with Debbie Bliss, Baby Cash Merino thing. I would imagine, knowing at the time that's what her favourite go-to was. So that might be made from that, and then with the cotton. So yeah, knitted and crochet. So yes, you know, it's difficult to say. It depends on what I'm doing at the time. Right, that was a whole lot of chit chat about yarn weight. And then another thing, oh yeah, somebody asked what would be another craft that I haven't yet tried that I would like to do. That was super easy to answer. Pottery. I would love to get into pottery. I have had a go at throwing, you know, on the wheel many years ago. It's not as easy as it looks. We have, if you don't know, I have a studio in my local art centre. We do have quite a few potters in there. I keep meaning to go and ask one of them if they'll give me lessons, or they do workshops. And there's several of them have got kilns. But yeah, I would love to have a go at, you know, pottery, throwing, and you know, like, what do they call it, like pinch pot kind of things, you know, where you form a shape without it being on a wheel. Or slip casting. I would like to do that. Slip casting is where you take like liquid clay, or, you know, whatever it is, you know, could be I don't know, terracotta, or it could any kind of clay, and then you have a mold, and then which is bound very tightly together, and then you pour the slip to the liquid clay in it and swirl it around, let it set for a little bit, so it creates like a coat, a thicker coating around the mold. Pour it out, let it dry, open it up, pop, and that's a shape that you've cast. I'd like to try that. Again, it has to be dried out and put in a kiln, but yeah, I'd love to do that. I think the Emma Bridgewater mugs, who's a fan of them, I think they're made with the slip cast method. In fact, a lot of these things are not thrown on wheels. A lot of them are slip cast. But that whole pottery thing is fascinating. And then is there any other crafts that I'd like to have a go at? I've always been curious, but I don't think I'll ever do it because I think it would just drive me mad. But I've always been curious about lace making. I love it. I think actually Ellie from Craft House Magic, she's a lace maker where you have the little pins on a cushion and you're moving all these bobbins about. I find that really fascinating, but I know it would just annoy me, that kind of thing. So I have got a spinning wheel. I have done my own weaving. I hand dye yarn. I can embroider, cross stitch, sew. I paint furniture. I do like watercolour painting and acrylic painting. I haven't got any of my work here around me. Every kind of sewing you can imagine. I like all the yarn crafts, the knitting, the crochet. I've even done Tunisian crochet. I've done bronze sculpting, candle making, resin casting. I was really into my resin casting a couple of years ago. I love making things from resin. Jewellery making. I've got all my jewellery equipment over at my studio. Oh my gosh, I can't even think. But yeah, I've pretty much tried a lot of them. Oh, and the other thing I would like to have a go at, and actually I say my sister-in-law, Lawrence and I are not married, but at this point in our lives, I say my sister-in-law, one of them in South Africa, she does stained glass. I'd like to have a go at that. That looks fun. I think that would be a craft I would enjoy. And then another question, is there any garments I'd like to do more of? Yes, I really want to sew more dresses and skirts. When I lived in the UK over 20 odd years ago, I used to do a lot of dressmaking. In fact, I think I might have spoken about this once. When I was very young, like early 20s, and I first started, working in an office, and I just couldn't afford, to buy, tailored things. And at that point in the UK, it was very conservative. Women always wore like tights or stockings and skirts and suits. It was very formal. Whereas in the Netherlands, it's perfectly normal to rock up in your jeans. In fact, when you go like really dressed up, people like look you up and down like you're going somewhere special. It's more like comfy fashion here. And I just couldn't afford to buy like that kind of tailoring. I know a few of my colleagues or friends at the time, their like mums used to treat them to like a blazer from Marks and Spencer. And actually I saved up and bought myself a couple of Marks and Spencer blazers. Then I used to make all my own skirts. Skirts and trousers. I didn't really wear a lot of dresses. I can make dresses, but yeah, I'm really ashamed to say this. I have got at least one full dress cut out and ready to stitch up in a bag in those shelves up there somewhere. And all I have to do, well, I hope the pattern's in the bag. If not, I can dig it out. I'll find it online. All I have to do is sew it up. And I love the dress. It's amazing. I love the fabric I chose. And I don't know. And then the other thing I would like to do more of, which I am kind of on that journey, is knitting my own garments. I've always crocheted my own garments, as in sweaters, ponchos, scarves. I used to make these little like Coachella little festival bikini tops and sell them. But yeah, the knitting thing, I really want to get more into, like knitting sweaters. I'm really enjoying that process at the moment. Okay, then there was a lot of questions about how I got into crafting. So I don't actually remember. All I know is from being born, I've been surrounded by creativity. So to put some context on it, my nana from my mum's side, my nana was Irish from Galway, and she grew up on her farm in a relatively big family, although those days in Ireland it probably wasn't that big, but I think there was like six or seven of them. And she grew up in a time where you had to make your own clothes, and you know, everything was handmade, you know, and the food that they grew their own food, and, you know, they milked their own cows, and it wasn't a dairy farm. I think it was more, well, I think they had all kinds of animals on it at some point. I have been as a child apparently a few times. I don't remember it. I was too small. And I think a cousin has got the family farm now. He's took over that, like he owns that. And I understand that the old like granny's house, the old farmhouse is still on there, but it's derelict. I think, you know, cattle or sheep shelter in it. Funny enough, our Estelle found an old photo of the hearth, a really, really bad copy. I meant to put it in a Facebook group and ask somebody to touch it up for me. I must remember to do that. It was one of, I'm going on a tangent here, but it was one of those like massive ingle nook fireplaces with like a fire in the cauldron, the witch's cauldron on it. That's how they cooked. Anyway, so as a child, I grew up with my nana always sewing. If anybody needed a Holy Communion dress, if anybody needed bridesmaids dresses, if anybody needed wedding dresses, in the family and very close friends, of course, soft furnishings, curtains, anything like that, Nana would do it. And you know, I remember she always used to get her, it was really heavy because I inherited it off her when she passed away. I no longer have that machine. I could barely lift it, and she used to hike it up, this big heavy thing in a wooden base, and she would always be sewing stuff. You know, up until her passing away, she was sewing regularly. So yeah, I grew up with my nana sewing. My mum's sister, my Auntie Christine, who I've spoken about before, sadly also passed away at the very beginning of COVID, and again, not from COVID. Auntie Christine there was only my mum and Chris, so my mum's older sister. And I used to go and stay for a week or two in the school holidays with them, and it's the best time ever. So on my mum's side, there's 4 of us. There's me, then Greg and Paula from Auntie Christine, then Estelle. So I'm the oldest of the 4 of us. So with my nana and grandad, a very small family. And, you know, we were always together. Anyway, I remember my Auntie Christine, every time we went, she was always doing something. She'd be like baking, sewing. And then when I was 7, she bought me some, I never forget them, pink plastic children's knitting needles. She taught me to knit at 7. So I've always been able to knit, kind of thing. We used to do like the French knitting. There were the little bobbins. Always had one of them in the house. Pom-pom making. And my mum always had wool in the house. She did knit. Not a really. She can knit, but she's not like a knitter. You know, she'll like, if she's got something she really, really wants to do, then she would knit it. But she's not like me. I always have knitting or crochet on the go. She can't crochet. I've tried to teach her many, many years. She did get it at one point, but I had to like force, like almost bully her into crocheting. Yeah, and then, so I've always grown up with that. And then I was always obsessed with like paper crafting. So snipping and making things. I used to make doll houses out of shoe boxes. If there was an empty box in the house, you guaranteed it would end up in my room. I used to make like little dolls and paper clothing for them. Anything, Nana, if you got a matchbox, if anything was being made on Blue Peter, I'm stuck to the TV. So I've just always had this fascination and obsession with, you know, making things with my hands. Funny enough, our Estelle still has, I don't know if she has all of it, I made a full-on nativity scene from, I think they were like, you know, like the cardboard from toilet rolls. I think it was from them, like a full-on nativity scene. And she's still got, I don't know if she's got all of it or some of it. And I made an angel. And I remember she took a picture of one of them a few weeks ago and showed it me. I must dig this stuff out. And I was laughing because it was an angel. And what's that made from? I don't know. And you could clearly see that I'd used like the gold Crayola crayon on it. And it's still like that. And look, this little, a little bit like the, what's it called? The kawaii? You know, like the cute, you know, with the little closed eyes. You know, see, I was ahead of my time. And then, you know, funnily enough, now as an adult, well, I did have a beautiful, like a red brick, like a Georgian dollhouse that an elderly neighbour gave to me when I was, I don't know, 5, 6. I had it for years in my bedroom. We don't know what happened to it. Maybe my mum might have a recollection. But I think I've always been obsessed with miniatures, and as a result, many of you will know I've got quite a large like a vintage dollhouse, a fixer-upper in the lounge, and I've got the little tulip house here, and I've still got the wooden houses here that I will decorate at some point. So I just, yeah, I don't know. And then crochet. My mum's friend, her granny, Auntie Nellie, used to come and visit her, you know, and she'd stay for a few weeks. And Auntie Nellie was quite elderly then. I just remember she was one of these like little, you know, like these little old frail grannies. I'm going back like 40 odd years ago now. And she was really skinny, and she was very like hard. I think she was from like Salford, or, you know, she was like this like really hard like northern woman. But for some reason, Auntie Nellie had a soft spot for me. I loved her. She reminded me of my great gran, who I also loved, and the whole family hated her. And Auntie Nellie taught me to crochet when I was 9, and she taught me granny squares. And then I remember I was going round and round and round and round a big one, and she taught me how to make little grannies. I don't know what happened to any of that. And then, I don't know, it never like gelled with me. So I only went back to crocheting about 10, 12 years ago, maybe. Yeah, not that long ago, really. But I've always been able to knit and crochet. But I've only just, like, you know, as of in my 40s, really got into it. When in my 20s, I was obsessed with cross stitch. That was my main craft. You know, samplers and everything. I've actually got a really nice one I did when I was pregnant with Joshua in the lounge. Half of that stuff, I don't know where it is, moving and overseas, I don't know. But yeah, I think that was everything then. So it's probably about almost an hour we've been waffling, but I think I'm waffled out now. Still got to edit the video, put it out so you can sit down. Hopefully you're doing something nice. But yeah, let me know, did you enjoy that? Do you feel like you've learned something new about me or Lawrence or the family? I hope I answered all your questions, and I think it's nice to have this video, so, you know, as the channel, you know, grows and people are curious, I can also refer people back to this video, and you can get like a little recap of, you know, of Dawn. So Chit Chat Wednesday, as I'm filming this, the weekly vlog will go out on Sunday as regular, and then we've gone into Vlogmas season, so there won't be any more Chit Chat Wednesdays until after the new year. That's when the next Chit Chat will be. If you've got any ideas or suggestions for the chat, feel free to let me know, or you can reach out to me privately. You know, if you've got a specific topic, or maybe in the past you've heard me briefly mention something and you'd like to know a bit more about it, let me know. I will keep saying this, some parts of mine or our lives are no-go areas. They're very private, and, you know, boundaries are firmly in place. But yeah, if I can answer, you know, I will do my best. So right, thank you very much. If you can give me a thumbs up. This hype function, I don't know. So earlier on when I said that my podcast had outperformed itself in terms of views, it's not related to this channel. I'm not monetizing that channel. I think we're at like 600 and something. Hyping is only for the Dawn's Days vlog. Many of you have been hyping me. I think it's fantastic. I'm mega excited about it. Have I noticed any kind of difference on the channel? No. Do I want you to still hype me? Please do. What I read is you can only hype a video in the first 7 days of it being uploaded, and then it doesn't affect the YouTube algorithms, but apparently it means that you get onto somebody's leaderboard. I can't see leaderboards. I don't know what leaderboards are. That's what I've read so far. And funny enough, in the YouTube channel itself, I couldn't see a video about hype. So I think it's one of these like under the radar things to see if it takes off. but I think the subscribing is the most important thing, and hitting the like, and also comments. Right, I'm going to stop waffling. So I will see you, if you're only here for the Chit Chat Wednesday, I'll see you in the new year. Seems a bit weird saying that. And if not, I will see you on Sunday for the weekly vlog. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get a video out on Friday for a podcast on the Woven Almanac. I don't normally post weekly on there, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for all your questions. Thanks for joining in. It was really good fun. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, you know, if you want to add your personal stuff about, you know, if there's something you can relate to, you want to share with everybody, it's a community, please do make friends. It's what we're here for. And yeah, that's it, that's a wrap. I'll see you next year for Chit Chat Wednesday. Take care, stay safe, see you in the next video. Bye for now.